Hello, on this video I'm going to show you how to create a layout and also a CSS on Visual Studio Model View Controller project. This video is one in a series of videos about MVC and SQL. I'll leave a link on the description of this video for the entire playlist. So this is where I left off from the past video, and what I did on the delete animal view, I just removed the layout equals null. They used to be right here. And when I do that, inside the shared folder, there's a layout called layout.cshtml, and this layout is what gets added right here. But this layout is very complex. However, it has some characteristics that I want. So one of them is the header. The other one is the container, which is where it renders the body. And the last one is the footer. So because this layout is very complex to go over on the short tutorial video, I'm going to create a new layout that's going to be very simple, but with the header and the render body and also the footer that this layout has. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is to right click right here on the shared folders, and I'm going to add a new item, and then I'm going to search for layout, and I'm going to add the razor layout. The name is going to be Grievous layout. I'm going to click on add, and here is my layout. Now there's a couple of things here that we have. I'm going to remove for now just to make it very simple and easy to understand. So when you have a layout, you have a HTML code that has all the major parts of a page, including the HTML, the head, the body, and you have the render body. So the render body is a part inside your layout where the view is going to be inserted. So this here would be the render body. And then anything that you have on the layout will be added normally right here. So if you add this layout on the page 1, for example, then you're going to have everything from page 1 here. And if you add on the page 2, you're going to have a new page with everything in page 2. So in other words, when you create the layouts and you add into the view, the ending result is a mix of the layout and the view. And obviously you can add CSS here, so then the final result is going to be a mix of the CSS, the layout, and the view. So let's add this view to the index and then run this program to see how it works. So here's my index. Alright, so before I add the layout, I'm going to run this project just to show you what I have on the index. So this is my page, very simple, and now I'm going to add the layout, and then I'm going to run again. So right here, instead of putting layout null, I'm going to put the name of the layout that I just created, which is Grievous layout. Now if I run the same page, I have the page, but there is not much difference just because I did not put anything there. So if I look at the source, you can tell that I do have the HTML, I do have the heads. So let's change some a little bit. So on the body, I'm going to have the header, and then the render body, and then after that I'm going to have the footer. And inside this header, I want to have a div, and then this div is going to be welcome to my page, and then I'm going to have the second div that says like and subscribe. All right, so now I have a header, then I have the body, and then finally I have the footer. On the footer, I'm just gonna put some plain text. And now I'm gonna run this program again just to see what I have. So when I do actually have the things that I put on the layout. So currently this page has the contents of the view and the contents of the layout. Looks kind of ugly. So my next step is to create a CSS, a cascading style sheet, to put here. Alright, so before I create the CSS, I want you to know that I'm not an expert on CSS, and therefore if you have a better way to do that, please leave in the comments of this video, and I will read and incorporate in my next video. Alright, so right here inside the folder called www.root, there's another folder called CSS, and inside the folder, I'm going to right click and add a new item, and I'm going to search for CSS, and I'm going to add the style sheets, and I'm going to name this Grievous Style Sheets. I'm going to click on add, and now this is what I have. Alright, so on this CSS, I want a couple of items here. So one is the header, and the other one is the footer. So on the header, I'm going to put a height of 100 pixels, and the width is going to be 100%, and the background color, I'm going to put some color that's super obvious so we know what's happening. So I'm going to choose aquamarine, and I'm going to do something similar to the footer. So the footer is also going to be height maybe less, 50 pixels, with 100% and background color aquamarine as well. Well, instead of aquamarine, I'm going to choose, how about aqua? Alright, I'm going to run the project again just to see what I have. And I have nothing because I did not include the CSS on the layout. So right here, yep, so I do not have the CSS on the layout. So now I'm going to get my CSS, and then I'm going to drag and drop with the left click right here inside the head. So once I do that, Visual Studio creates the link for me. So I'm going to save and run the project again. So now I have the text from the layout, then the color from the CSS, and then finally in the middle, I have the contents from the view. Alright, so let me change this a little bit more because this looks a little ugly, and I think we can do a little bit better on that. So right here in the footer, I'm going to put a text, a line, and I'm going to line this on center, and also maybe a text size. There's no text size. Maybe it's font size. Yes, font size. And I'm going to put font size 40 pixels. Alright, so I'm going to run again and see the difference. Alright, so the footer changed. So maybe 40 pixels is too big. So I'm going to put a 20 pixel maybe. And then that looks a little bit better. And finally, on this text right here, I want to change the size of this text, but I do not want to change the header. So I'm going to put here a ID, and that says header text. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other line. And now I need to create a CSS for the header text. So I'm going to go back to my CSS, and then here I'm going to do a hashtag and then header text. And then I'm gonna do a font size of size 30, and then text align center as well, 30 pixel. All right, so now I'm gonna run the project again. All right, so now I have a center aligned header, then the center aligned footer, and finally on the middle I have the contents of the view. Now if I add something in the database and go to my next page, I don't have the layout here, and that's because page 2 currently has layout equals null. So let's change that. So on page 2 I have layout equals null, and I'm gonna put here layout equals grievous layout. And I go to page 2. Now page 2 also has the layout, but page 3 doesn't. So in other words, you have to add the layout to every single page that you want. But the advantage of doing that is that if you change something on the layout, it would change all over your website. So layout is a very crazy, powerful way for you to change something on your website, because you're going to be changing in one file, and that change will reflect all over your website. Now there's one more thing I want to change here. I don't like to look at the tab and see page 3 here. So on my layout, right here on the heads, I'm going to put a title tag, and the title is going to be grievous, just grievous. So now when I run, right here in the tab I have grievous, and I have everything else here on the page. Like I said before, I'm not an expert on CSS, so this is a crazy simple CSS, but I just want to show you how the layout works and how the CSS works. Alright, so that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.